Hello and welcome to this video on peer review. Something that may have been noticed by some viewers is the preference to use academic references where possible. This owes to the robust nature of the process involved in reputable journals. Without this, it would be possible to publish more frequently but with less certainty in the claims made. The first thing to understand in peer review is that it follows a general pattern regardless of the journal. Original research submission, evaluation by an editor, initial corrections, delivery to a reviewer, revisions, and after this is repeated often enough, it is placed into a journal or published. Increasingly online, the number of times the submission and review cycle occurs is often a source of dark humour in PhD and master's candidate circles. Once published, it is scrutinized by peers who may submit comments, letters, or opinions on the publication if they observe something of interest. First is the research and subsequent write-up. Any author worth their salt will have an understanding of the content and quality needed for publishing. In the molecular biology sciences, this involves a triad of results: the genetic experiment, the protein, and a means of validating the pathway, often a knockdown or silencing of the gene. This is then replicated to show consistency. Other disciplines have their own means of properly constructing an experiment. This is then prepared as a manuscript. Often each journal has its own style and formatting requirements that can be worked from a basic version. This must contain enough information to be able to put into the context of the study, elaborate the results, and enable another scientist to repeat the experiment as another form of validation. Research validation is an important topic that will be discussed at the end of this video. After the research is completed, the article or an advanced copy of this goes to an editor and/or editor-in-chief who makes a decision on the suitability and acceptability to that publication. It is then refined to suit the publication as per the directions of the editor or published guidelines. These people effectively serve as gatekeepers and control the general direction and content of a journal. It is for this reason that they are sometimes viewed as biased or suppressing data. There are other, less well-founded or evidenced arguments as well. After this, it is then sent out for review. The review process involves 2 to 3 people who are accepted as experts in the field at hand. They independently receive a copy, generally anonymously, and go over it to find fault. They then compile their suggestions in a list and send these to the editor. The editor then provides these as a list of either unconditionally accepted terms, accepted with improvements that are specified, rejected but open to being re-examined, or it is outright rejected. Although the journal does not have to accept these suggestions or decisions, they tend to do so, as they have invited and often do not pay for the services from the experts. And since the experts may repeatedly look at the same document over a period of 6 months whilst it is being reviewed, this both takes a long time and a considerable amount of effort on the part of the people that have been invited to do the work. When there is disagreement among reviewers, this may be handled by adding another reviewer to evaluate the work independently again, or by having the original author address the issues raised that created the disconnect between the original reviewers, and to see if this will address the problem. From here, the paper is placed into the typesetting department and eventually put into circulation, whether that is in online form or paper. The big difference between a blog, Wikipedia, or other kinds of open and public knowledge centers is the vulnerability to criticism. In the public, these papers can be directly rebutted by contrary evidence if it exists, or identification of methodological flaws. In some extreme cases, the paper can be identified as plagiarizing, containing fake or doctored results, or other fallacies again. An example of this is the Wakefield paper on the MMR vaccine, and more recently, the crisis-sweeping Chinese research. When major or even minor things are identified in a published paper, there are a number of possible outcomes. Generally only one is taken though. The paper can be retracted and a direct address to the matter posted, as with the Lancet and Wakefield. The paper may only be retracted, a retraction that is corrected and possibly have the publication reposted with this identified, an errata posted and corrections made to the important content, such as the results section, an errata posted and corrections made but not to the substantial content of the articles. This can be author contact details or similar, relatively minor issues, and sometimes nothing. It may just be a spelling error, an offset picture, or not even realized. This process of review and examination creates a collective consensus from the field as evidence builds up. This validates and refines a more universal, or perhaps accurate, thesis of the topic. Unlike other public and consensus-based platforms, this ensures an unbiased and relatively even opportunity for all work to be published and examined by the community at large. Couple this with the robust nature of the examination of any publication, and the opportunity to do so, it means the evidence that comes out in the end tends to be of the best quality in most cases. However, there are some catches to that. Perhaps the biggest catch to this is the existence of predatorial journals. These are often pay-to-display services with little of the aforementioned review or evaluation processes, let alone expertise. These journals will put anything that is paid for into the general domain to be seen and believed as expert opinion. Here are just a few of the articles accepted, the links to which are below. Hopefully this helps you to understand why articles, and particularly academic articles, are used on a regular basis. Thank you for watching. Please post any comments, questions, or suggestions you may have below.